Welcome. As I say, thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support this channel by subscribing, and also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. So this video is going to be relating to the second eclipse portal for 2024 that we have actually stepped into, and which will be a little bit longer than normal because we have not one but two lunar eclipses. So already there will be quite a bit to cover, and I'll talk more about the second lunar eclipse later. So having stepped into the portal, if you are already feeling sort of out of sorts, this could be about their energetics, because they start entering our own energetic system up to around about a month for the actual date, and can last up to 2 or 6 months actually afterwards. So not only do we have an eclipse, it's going to be a partial lunar eclipse. It's also a full moon, that's when the lunar eclipse occurs. And it'll be taking place here in Adelaide on Wednesday, the 18th of September at 12:04 p.m. If you are in the US, it'll be on Tuesday, the 17th. And the partial lunar eclipse will sort of be between that period of time as well, from Tuesday, the 17th to Wednesday, the 18th of September. We won't see it here in Australia, but we're sort of scheduled to sort of last from around about, say, 11 a.m. through to around about 2:17 p.m. And everything will be happening in the astrological sign of Pisces, where the moon will be at 25 degrees 40 minutes. And this means that the sun will be directly opposite in Virgo. So just before I talk about this full moon lunar eclipse, I also would like to just mention we do have other influencing energies that will be taking place just before that on the 14th or 15th of September. We have Venus in Libra at 20 degrees. So Libra is its own sign, and it will also be trining Jupiter, which is at 20 degrees in Gemini. So this is a very favorable aspect, as Venus is the ruler of Libra, and it could also relate to, say, positive times in relationships and all sorts of relationships, not just intimate relationships, and with Jupiter expanding that positivity as well. So coming back to the lunar eclipse, if you are in the US, you will see it, or you may be able to see that. As I said, it will be a partial lunar eclipse, but adding to that, the moon will be a super moon, meaning that during its ecliptic around the Earth, it's at the point where it's closest to the Earth. And that just adds another dimension to everything. The eclipses themselves, there is potential for seismic activity, because again, we're looking at the Earth tides with the moon, and then we show, if you kind of throw in the supermoon on top of that equation, so there's a possibility for even increased even more. Doesn't make sense. The moon also rules ocean tides, so there may be higher than normal ocean tides as well. And then we've got the sort of the chaotic or uncontrollable nature of eclipses themselves. Now, one of the astrologers that I do follow, Pam Gregory, points out that eclipses are actually pivot points, because they bring about sort of permanent change. And while this is a full moon, so that's naturally about endings, about culmination of one lunar cycle, the lunar eclipse is also about a deeper level of shedding, especially with that which no longer serves you. And sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself, because this seems to be the theme that's been happening for the last 4 years. It's about letting go, almost sort of coming back to the ebbing and flowing, or the natural ebbing and flowing of our world around us. So if you do have your birth or natal chart, look to see what house 25 degrees 40 minutes or 26 degrees of Pisces is in, because this will give you a really deeper idea as to what needs to be cleared out, especially at a deeper, more cellular level. Especially if there are things that you are constantly sort of sweeping under the carpet or pushing to the back of the wardrobe, you'll get around to that one day. You'll deal with these things later. Well, now it is that later timing. And we are also talking about permanent changes. The sort of sense of destiny is also connected with eclipses. However, as I said, the energy is unpredictable, can be chaotic. So there is a need to sort of let go of our conscious, egocentric mind, that sort of desire that we have to have control over our lives. Especially you may, if you're a very controlling person, you or like things very organized, you may feel that there are aspects of your own life which seem to feel like they're slipping through your fingers like grains of sand. So just breathe. Breathe into your heart center and the heart, and let go what needs to be released. Release, let it go, surrender to the process, because at the end of the day, these are things out of your control. And any pain, anguish, anxiety that may be causing in relation to this letting go is because your ego self is hanging on to these things. Again, breathe, surrender. The universe has you, so to speak. So this eclipse is going to be the first eclipse on the sort of Piscean Virgo axis. So we've got the moon in Pisces, we've got the sun in Virgo, which relates to health. And the last time this eclipse occurred on this axis was between March 2026 and February 2020. So March 2016, haven't got to 26 yet, and February 2017, with the eclipse taking place in Pisces in September 2016. So if you're able to think back to what was happening around that time, what houses are being activated in your chart, especially as now, back then the North Node was in Virgo, and this time the North Node is currently 6 degrees, 36 minutes of Aries, and it's retrograde, so it's moving backwards, and it'll be moving into Pisces in January next year. And what this means is that during eclipses, because of this axis, we actually have the two houses being activated. We have Pisces, we have Virgo. So again, look back, if you can, to 2016, 2017. This may provide some clues as to what may happen this time around. But if it has been huge changes, because eclipses do those sort of big changes in our life, hopefully we've sort of raised our vibration to a higher level, become a little bit more spiritual in those, what we're looking at 8 years. And if we're going through something similar, it'll have a different effect, or there'll be a different result that will come out of it. Now, this axis is also one of balancing our mental, physical selves, which is Virgo, with our emotional, spiritual self, which is Pisces. And if that is not enough, as I said, we've got the North Node there, adding to the sort of push for big endings, because the North Node is wanting to bring new things into our life. But wait, there is more. It's quite a busy chart. We have the moon conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees 35 minutes of Pisces, and it's retrograde, and it is the planetary ruler of Pisces. So this sort of emphasizes Piscean theme about this full moon. Both relate to the immune system, to the blood, to the lymph system. They can also relate to toxicity, whether within our own selves or what we pick up. It could be connected with the waterways. We're looking at pollution in our waterways and our oceans and our seas. However, Virgo is about purifying. It's about detoxifying. It's also in the body. It's related to the gut health and the microbiome. So there's this balancing out, looking at what could be toxic around us or within us and doing something about it. However, with Pisces and Neptune, there's this illusionary aspect, especially Pam Gregory talks about when it comes to the media, especially social media. So with the moon coming to light in this area, it could be really highlighting what is toxic, what these illusions are. And especially with the moon being closer to the earth, again, putting a highlight of a further highlight onto things. As I said, the moon rules the tide, so there could be a risk of flooding, higher tides than normal, more extremes in the ebbing and flowing of the tides. Martin McCord mentions that it could also be hurricanes or tornadoes, because the moon, again, is shining a very bright light on things that may have been hidden from our perception, from our view up until now. And also the moon sort of covers our tides. This also means that the sun is opposing Neptune, but being in Virgo, the sun's energy here is about what we have focused on, what our skill set is all about. As Martin McCord puts it, it's like our discipline, the details that we've been working through, which tends to be a little bit in conflict to the sort of intuitive Piscean full moon, which may be casting an illusion around things. But it could also be highlighting that this illusion is more internal or external, relating to something that even we may not want to see, but now it's being highlighted. So trusting those gut instincts, and it's really sort of, at least in my mind, sort of pushing this coming back to the body. And that connects in with the Earth Trine, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So there are a few other transits happening around at the same time that will be influencing this moon. On the 4th of September, we had Mars moving into Cancer, and at this full moon, Mars will be 47 degrees of Cancer, say 5 degrees of Cancer, and will be squaring the asteroid Ceres, and Ceres is at 8 degrees 57 minutes of Capricorn. I don't usually talk much about asteroids. I don't know much about them, except for Chiron, of course. But Pam Gregory talks a lot about the asteroids, and she says that Ceres is related to, say, grains. She is the Roman goddess of the grain, the Roman equivalent to Demeter. So we're looking at food production. We're looking at agriculture, which tends to be very stressed around the world at the moment, even locally with the cost of living crisis, etc. Mars is often associated with war, with anger, with assertive aggression. Cancer is a little bit more emotional, nurturing. So there could be, again, this deeper connection in relation to nurturing or sustenance in relation to food. Now, what's quite interesting, as Pam points out, is that Mars normally stays in a sign for about 6 to 7 weeks during its 2-year orbit. However, it's going to be in Cancer and then moving to about 6 degrees Leo, then back again for about 8 months, because it's going to go retrograde. So this is sort of highlighting, again, something in your chart. So look to see what house Cancer is connected with, see where Mars is. This is going to be activated. And it's going to be activated again at the 6th of December, because this is when Mars retrogrades and is moving backwards. And This is around the date of the US election. Should be interesting. Mars then re-enters Cancer around about the 6th of January. Stations direct around about the 24th of February next year. And then actually it doesn't move out of Cancer until April 2025. So that's quite, as I said, a long period of time for Mars to be in Cancer. So for people who have a Cancerian Mars chart, this could be highly productive. It could be also very highly protective instincts, especially if you feel that you need to protect yourself, you sort of strike first, rather than sort of listening to this, to both sides of the coin. So there is a degree of hostility around it, but due to sort of preservation or protectivism, and this could actually have been a result of something that happened in childhood, where you've had this sort of hyper awareness, this hypersensitivity with respect to any hostility or perceived hostility being directed at you or your loved ones, or even at a wider scale, your homeland. So the downside to this sort of overall heightened protective ability is it's very impulsive. Mars is impulsive. Mars can be rather overreacting, and it will rush off before it sees the whole side of the story. Now we also have Mercury at 14 degrees 48, or so 46 minutes of Virgo. It's opposing Saturn, which is at 15 degrees 16 minutes of Pisces. Mercury wants to sort of like get the facts right in Virgo. It wants to dot the I's across the T's. Saturn, however, is sort of veiling the truth, this Piscean nature coming in, almost distorting it due to it being in a semi-square to Pluto, which has just retrograde back into Capricorn and is at the analytic point, degree point of 29 degrees. So these last points in Capricorn is sort of like a suppression of freedom, of the ability to sort of express yourself. But with both Saturn and Pluto being connected with power, there can be a control aspect that is causing obstacles for Mercury and Virgo to express itself, to actually get the facts that it needs. And this is also, I think I mentioned it in the last video I did, the first hard aspect between the Saturn and Pluto conjunction that happened in January 2020, which then went on to the pandemic. So this is the first reality check. This is the first testing of that conjunction to see how far we have sort of traveled, what we have learned. And there could be adding an extra layer to the truth due to Neptune being in Pisces. Then we have Uranus at 27 degrees 6 minutes of Taurus being retrograde, and it's sort of sextiling the moon along with Pluto, which is also working with Neptune, as I've just said. And these are all outer planets. These are all working with the energetics with this lunar eclipse in Pisces, and incorporating or impregnating sort of our emotional body, encouraging, as Marty McCord says or points out, for us to undergo sort of a karmic release that will then enable us to transition to a higher vibrational energy or a higher state of conscious awareness, or insert whatever term aligns with you here. And this also means that there is this cosmic support enabling us to undergo this transformation. Also, if you have been avoiding change, as I said, we've also got Uranus providing that sort of like electrical shock, that electrical current to get us motivated. And not only just for us as individuals on a personal level, but also as a collective. That I know a number of areas where we tend to be dragging our feet. So again, if you do have your natal chart, this is a good time to really sort of go through a little bit of a fine comb to see where these planets are, especially at the time of your birth, because this, again, can give you insight as to how we can motivate or maneuver ourselves through this lunar eclipse. I did mention that there's a grand Earth trine, so that's between Uranus at 27 degrees in Taurus, the Sun at 25 degrees of Virgo, and Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. This is all relating to making things real, because it's the Earth plane, bringing things into reality. Again, it is connected to agriculture. It's connected with our food production. Taurus also is connected with our finances as well. Also, anything that is sort of our foundational building blocks for our life. And then these three planets, Uranus, the Sun, and Pluto, of course, when we throw the moon into the mix, we get a kite with the moon at the apex. So this could be your logical self, your scientific mind. So this is a Virgo, the Sun is our personality, needing to know the facts, the figures, in order to get on board with the sort of mystical, surreal, magical, otherworldly aspects of the moon and Neptune and Pisces, which is also being supported by Pluto and Uranus. These energetics may actually end up causing the logical mind to, I wouldn't say flip out, but have a few conniptions, because it's not able to understand what exactly is going on, because there aren't the hardcore facts that it needs. So it's another time to move out of our head into our body more, so lean really into your emotional feeling self. Allow your intuition to lead the way. Trust what you feel, the sensations. Molly also mentions that the last 5 degrees of Pisces, where these planets are in, is almost like traveling in a void filled with all potentiality that can connect you to the deeper matrix of possibilities if you allow yourself to trust. And you don't need to know about things. You don't need to know about the direction that you could be heading in. So just breathe, surrender. Surrender yourself to the ebb and flow of the universe as these endings are happening. So allow them to happen. The moon is sort of heightening itself, coming to our awareness more. So begin to ebb and flow. Now, there's a few other transits that I just want to mention. We've got Jupiter at 20 degrees, 36 minutes of Gemini. It's squaring the moon, along with Saturn, and which will continue to do so until about June next year. It was actually exact at the last new moon in Virgo. It'll be exact again on the 24th of December. And also the 15th of June 2025. So as well as forming a T-square with the lunar eclipse, expanding the energies of communication, the desire to speak out, to say what you want to say, what is coming to us, especially in relation to social media, which again is also connected with Gemini. There is sort of like a warning, but just be mindful that when speaking out, make sure that you are objective due to all of this illusion around the moon. Could be lots of smoke and mirrors. Maybe do a bit more research before you share your points of view. Sort of know your truth and be able to stand in your truth. Jupiter is about the law, about the truth. However, Saturn is also connected with limitations, as we have seen. So again, if you've got planets and points at 24 degrees of Pisces or Virgo, which is where the Sun is, and up until the end of these signs, you may strongly feel the energetics of this full moon lunar eclipse. You may already be feeling them now, and you'll be feeling them on a more personal level. So keep in mind that eclipses are here to help us shed these layers, come more into our authentic self, our true self, to be more aligned with our soul path. You could always perceive them as being sort of a leaping point. So we step into higher conscious awareness, reaching that new chapter in our own soul's evolution, if these terminologies sort of resonate with you. So as I said, the eclipse energies can be volatile. So ensure that you take time for self-care, time to rest, to meditate, be out in nature, ground yourself, journal, especially in relation to finding new ways of self-discovery. But I guess at the end of the day, despite all this chaotic energies, just keep in mind that they are also very transformative. We can continue feeling these consequences up for the next 6 months. So we'll look up until March next year. However, with Jupiter and Taurus both being connected with abundance, keep in mind that this new space is being created to enable these new ideas, new inspirations, new possibilities to emerge, to reveal a brighter, more clearer future. And if you are in Adelaide, then on Tuesday, the 17th of September, I'll be hosting a full moon gathering down at Largs Bay. We meet in the big car park to the sailing club on the Esplanade. The other side, the smaller one, they are doing some building. I think they're putting conveniences there. So look for the bigger car park, which is by the slip where they take the boats down to the waters. We'll be meeting there just before 7 o'clock, because at 7 p.m. we will be heading down to the shore for the full moon gathering. It is free. It is a gold coin donation or loose change donation. It's open to all. Children are welcome, but they are your own responsibility if they are your children. And it could be a good time to really kickstart that release and surrender. So if you want to bring a pebble or some flowers, we can imbue that and throw that into the water. So I hope that this has been of interest to you. Please put comments below if it does resonate with you, and learn to breathe. Eclipse seasons are usually a little bit rocky. Have a look at your chart. We've got some important points to look at. Also, if you can think back to what happened around the last lunar eclipse in Pisces, so that was, September 2016. Where was that in your chart? I don't know what happened to me. As I said, these lunar eclipses can be big changes in our life, and mine certainly was. So take care and blessings.